They are sending hundreds or thousands of Russians to the slaughter.
Look, this brass cone.
But their children may not worry about the summonses.
My surname is Peskov, so it is not quite right for me to go there.
Yet while Putin is drowning Russia in blood, the Kremlin's offsprings are drowning in the wealth of their parents.
I bought myself some earrings. And how are you doing? How is it going in Russia?
After all, this West cursed by the Kremlin elite fell to the locking of the children of Putin's entourage, and while ordinary Russians, pumped up with military propaganda, are going to the front, in Ukraine as canning fodder, the Kremlin's offspring are enjoying life and leisure, and what a surprise, the hostile NATO countries, the very same one that, according to Putin's heralds, is trying to ruin Russia. Why do Putinists send their children to the lair of the enemy? And what are the golden kids doing in the West? Watching the special report, Kremlin's offsprings, tyrants' children, luxury life.
Путинской свиты.
Помогите, кто-нибудь! Помогите!
Девочка, я тебя спасу!
It is hard to recognize a future functionary of the United Russia Party in this 12-year-old boy. If Kremlin propaganda is to be believed, Ilya Medvedev himself was cast in the once popular movie magazine. Allegedly, his kinship with the then deputy head of the Russian government Dmitry Medvedev became known during the filming. Then, and subsequently, Medvedev Jr. led a fairly private life. He studied as Kremlin children should at MGIMO University. He gave several interviews about his plans for the future. Here's what he said after his university exams.
I like the work of a corporate lawyer. I think there is no point in getting a legal education in another country if you are going to work in Russia.
In the same 2016, right after finishing his bachelor's degree, Medvedev started working at the Russian company Vkontakte, earning over 100,000 rubles a month. Later, he switched to Mail.ru and used to earn more than 200,000 rubles.
Ilya was working there because of his father's name. He definitely wouldn't have been hired without it, says a source of Meduza and Current Time close to the Russian government. In Vkontakte, he was doing something related to legal activity, hesitantly comments a person close to Mail.ru.
At that time, one of the shareholders of the companies was Dmitry Medvedev's partner, Russian billionaire Alisher Usmanov.
What was his role in this company? You hire a kid of some important official, and the person becomes a member of many circles, so that they can work out different issues. It was suggested and said that it was Ilya Medvedev who made or tried to make popular the Vkontakte platform for all sorts of governors. And supposedly it was him who persuaded a number of people personally that this is also a platform where they could work too.
Medvedev Jr.'s career did not end with Russian social networks. He managed to work in many companies owned by family friends. It is not known where he spent his earnings. Ilya Medvedev hides his social networks, but one thing is known for sure: the golden boy got a thing for good wine. And saying good, I mean very expensive, at the price of 3 average Russian salaries. Ilya Medvedev is until recently an active user of an app for buying and evaluating wine. Over 4 years on the platform under the pseudonym Afanasy Medvedev, he has evaluated more than 70 noble drinks. Among them, there are both relatively inexpensive for 20 euro, about 2,000 rubles, and elite for in the 1,000 euro per bottle, more than 400,000 rubles. Medvedev Jr.'s love of wine probably comes from his father. But Medvedev Jr. did not inherit his father's hatred of the West. While the former Russian president was making threats against the United States, Ilya had and probably actively used an American visa, which was taken away from him after sanctions were imposed. But Ilya was immediately given a warm place in Russia in his father's party, where he intended to do everything at once.
I will try to apply my knowledge in the right way, in the spheres of development of children's sports, healthcare, education, small and medium-sized business, entrepreneurship. Now it is very important to establish import substitution. This is an attempt to show Putin that these people are Putinists more than Putin himself. They are trying to show how all of them support, all merge in ecstasy and adore the national leader. So demonstratively, with Medvedev's son, the United Russia party ticket was handed over to the son of Putin's old friend Turchak. This is just a demonstration of how things work when one Putin's crony honors another Putin's crony by joining Putin's party. He's neither seen nor heard, and we talked to people who know him, and they say that he's interested in business, and his business is developing quite actively, not without administrative resources.
As well as another Putin subject, Dmitry Peskov's daughters. Elizaveta Peskova lived and studied in France for a long time. There she bought an apartment in Paris for almost $2 million. The daughter of Putin's mouthpiece studied at the prestigious École de Rouge school, a year of studying which cost at least 40,000 euros. She interned at Louis Vuitton and received a diploma in marketing at a French business school, and even had an internship in the European Parliament in Russia. She was assigned to modernize shipyards. You can judge for yourself for the depth of your knowledge of the industry.
I personally don't know a single person who has thought about the fact that there are such people who are engaged in shipbuilding. For this, of course, we need very strong information support. We need to develop strategies for the PR of shipbuilding.
Once again, Liza Peskova planned to modernize shipyards by telling people that such exist. Genius! After this interview, the failed shipbuilder Liza was sent to Paris again, apparently to finish her studies. She stayed there until the spring of 2022, when she was put on the sanctions list and expelled from France. She is now co-owner of the Central Moscow company and organizes state exhibitions. And such an unexpected surprise with Liza's arrival, the company's business went up.
Liza Peskova's business can only succeed when she enters the capital of a company and uses her family connections. For example, a company that organizes state exhibitions. Liza Peskova was assigned a share there, after which the company's business went hell. But she doesn't really do anything there herself. It is just that there are people who specialize in it, who just bribe in this way.
Ilya Medvedev is well acquainted with the upbringing and careers of the Kremlin's offspring. In 2010, when the Kremlin was trying to play democracy, he wanted to set up an investment fund with the participation of the elite's children.
In total, there were, I don't remember exactly how many, but 13 or 15 people from the Russian elite who were invited to participate in creating it. I think 2 of them showed themselves as normal managers who could join it. The other, of course, had a completely different motivation. They were classic representatives of this kind of the rich crowd, who just want to snort cocaine, drink vodka, and go to the club and such like.
This is roughly the style in which Peskov's second offspring son from his first marriage, Nikolai, who took his English stepfather's surname Choles, lives. Elite autos and regularly received funds for speeding, private jets, yachts, traveling and partying. The life of Peskov's Jr. fully reflects the concept of the golden child. Unlike his sister, he returned to Russia voluntarily. Allegedly voluntarily, because in England, where Nikolai had lived before, he had 2 criminal cases brought against him for assault and robbery. In 2014, he was prosecuted for beating his 71-year-old grandmother. This was the end of Nikolai's heroics. When journalists called Peskov's son under the guise of military officers and informed him about the summons, the reaction of the descendant of the powerful man was relevant to it.
Nikolai, this is the military enlistment office talking to you. You have been sent a summons today. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. you must show up at the military enlistment office. I will clearly not come at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You must understand, my surname is Peskov, so it is not quite right for me to go there. I will solve this question on a completely different level.
Later, Russian propaganda would roll out entire interviews allegedly with Nikolai Choles, who joined the PMC Wagner. As proof, Kremlin heralds shot a video of a man in military gear with his face covered in an absolutely dark place. A gullible Russian swallowed such a TV trick. By the way, do you recognize the man in the center? Yes, that's Vladimir Solovyov, one of Putin's main running dogs and adherent of war. He speaks eloquently and emotionally for 2 hours every day about satanic gay rape, curses the West and calls for missile strikes against NATO countries. He himself, for the sake of PR and ratings, is not averse to being near the front, and he would be happy to see as many Russians as possible in the Mid-Grand War.
There are always young men in the wars, and a lot of guys doing conscript service say, "Let us fight, we can, we know how to do it, let us go there."
But Solovyov's sons are too far from the front and the dangers of war.
Hypocrisy. Daniil Solovyov works as a model in London. This must be his mother's genes. Despite the fact that Vladimir Solovyov is calling for war against Ukraine, he prefers not to mention either this or his eldest son, who is also a draft dodger.
These photos of Solovyov's children were published by journalist Jason J. Smart. The eldest offspring, Alexander, is a film director. The youngest, Daniil, is a model. They have not fallen under sanctions, and they continue to live, as Solovyov himself says, in the enemy of Russia, Great Britain, apparently having picked up everything that Solovyov, the TV patriot Solovyov, went the whole of Mother Russia against permissiveness in customs. There was a photo published in social networks allegedly showing the very same Daniil Solovyov in a female form with long fingernails, and this is at the same time that his father actively supports the Kremlin regime's repression of the LGBT community in Russia. Solovyov reacted to this revelation in his usual manner.
Minger, jerk, turd, bad, mingers, corrupt Ukro-Nazi turds.
Hypocrisy is a common feature of the Kremlin's henchmen. For years they have been telling Russians about the evil and decaying West, scaring them with LGBT propaganda, urging them to stay in Russia while sending their children exactly to the West. Look at Senator Yelena Mizulina, a fighter for traditional values, as she understands it.
They want to destroy our families and send our children to their men in thongs.
Mizulina's son Nikolai studied at the University of Bern and University of Oxford, works as a lawyer in Belgium, and he is in no hurry to go back to his mother in his native Russia, although Belgium is one of the longest-standing members of NATO, and the firm where Nikolai works is also engaged in protecting the rights of the LGBT community. Only Mizulina's daughter Yekaterina has followed in her mother's footsteps. She is Russia's chief sniff, heading the Safe Internet League and denouncing everyone she can reach.
Foreign IT giants such as YouTube, Wikipedia have become real mouthpieces in the information war against Russia. There is nothing wrong with that. First, we will cleanse Ukraine of Nazis and Banderite, and then we will move on the cleaning up Google and Wikipedia.
The Kremlin pays generously for the labor of the Russian internet watchdog. Journalists have calculated this cyber telltale closet alone would cost at least 24 million rubles.
True lady Ekaterina Mizulina respects the froggy Albion and things made by British designers. Zelena Jr. likes the Burberry brand. Here is Mizulina in the black cotton trench coat for 138,000 rubles, and here is Mizulina in a cashmere trench coat for 125,000 rubles.
Another Kremlin champion lion, Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Lavrov, has been spouting anti-Western rhetoric since 2017.
I am not interested in the West Watchers at all. We declared a special military operation when we no longer had any way left to explain to the West that it was engaged in criminal activities. I believe that NATO is a threat.
But he did not condemn his daughters to a life in Russia. His eldest, Ekaterina Vinokurova, who is now 39, studied at Columbia University in New York and obtained a master's degree at the London School of Economics. However, she still applied her knowledge in Russia. She used to trade in antiques, but now she organizes exhibitions and leads the life of a socialite.
It is just an attribute of a luxurious life. In addition to a good car, a big apartment, you have to get some kind of diploma from a good prestigious Western university. They went there not to sit at the same desk with Russian Vanyas, whom their parents rob every day.
Or a luxurious apartment in an elite London neighborhood. This is about Polina Kovalyova, Lavrov's stepdaughter. But Kovalyova's English fairy tale had to end. She had to pack her bags to come back to Moscow. Both her and Ekaterina Vinokurova were put on the UK sanctions list.
This sends a strong signal that those who benefit from connection with those responsible for Russian aggression are subject to our sanctions.
They are beneficiaries of Russian corruption. As long as daddy, uncle, grandpa steal, they can live where they live now, in Western countries, and visit the West on a regular basis.
Or they can hide there from mobilization. So the youngest son of the Russian Minister of War Sergei Shoigu does. Danila Shabunov is 22. He rents office buildings for millions of rubles and sings.
I can feel your body shake. I promise that your heart won't break. 'Cause loving you ain't no mistake.
Last September, a few days before the announcement of partial mobilization, Shoigu sent his offspring to Turkey. Neither went to the front. The son-in-law of the Minister of Defense, blogger Alexei Stolarov, he, as he used to do, shoots ridiculous videos and does not miss the pleasure. This video shows Alexei in the Red Desert near Dubai, United Arab Emirates. There, together with the youngest daughter of Shoigu, Ksenia, he celebrated the New Year. The couple spent at least 500,000 rubles on this holiday because the minister's daughter checked into one of the most luxurious hotels. By the way, here is the daughter of the man who helped to unleash the largest war since World War II. She leads a secular lifestyle, earns good money on government construction projects, and spends her earnings in the South, far from the golden ring of Russia.
We know that Dubai is attractive probably for two reasons. First of all, of course, because of the climate. You can go in winter and appear in the warms. And secondly, because the authorities of the Arab Emirates do not ask unnecessary questions. If you buy real estate there, no one will have any questions on where you get the money from, if you are a politician, significant person, and so on.
The advantages of Dubai are also well known by Veronika, daughter of Shoigu's opponent, Putin's oligarch Yevgeny Prigozhin. She was having fun there while her father criticized the lifestyle of the Kremlin's children.
Shame on you. Take your adolescents by the balls or by the braids. Show them their place. Let them deflate. Look what's going on.
And we looked. The video leaked from Veronika Prigozhina's phone has already been dubbed the Dubai Diary. Here you can hear about money.
I have bought myself some earrings. Look.
And about solidarity with the Russian people.
Я в казино рублюсь, как Джек, ты спишь в посадке. Ты моешь пол, я ем омара, я олигарх, ты просто шмар.
And it seems about love.
You really think I just show my naked ass in stories for fun? This hat has something in it. I'm just thinking I'm a whore or not. Why should I be a whore? Do I like it or not?
But among the golden children of the Kremlin, there are not only love burners, but also those who can continue the business of their parents, that is, to rob Russians, unleash wars and terrorize the world. One of them is Sergei Shoigu's eldest daughter Yulia. Her career took off when Shoigu was head of the Ministry of Emergency Situations of Russia, and now she is a chief psychologist there. There is no doubt that Yulia will continue climbing the career ladder because Putin's regime is literally passing Russia as an inheritance to its offspring.
Son of Kiriyenko, head of the presidential administration, is the first vice president of Rostelecom. Ivanov is the CEO of Auroza, the diamond king of Russia, son of Putin's old friend. And no matter where you look in every industry, the garbage king in Russia, a person who makes money from recycling garbage, is the son of Chaika, former prosecutor general and longtime Putin's associate. Sons of whoever you can look at from the Putin's idols, you know, I'll find you the state corporations where they attached. Frotkov's children are in the presidential administration. Patrushev's children were given a whole ministry.
And the near future, maybe even the whole country. After all, it is Dmitry Patrushev, the eldest son of Nikolai Patrushev, secretary of the Russian Security Council, who is prophesied to be Putin's successor. His father is allegedly actively working on this.
Patrushev is just one of the classic representatives of these law enforcers. The KGB officers from Petersburg, for some reason, they are all inclined to this kind of behavior. The model of such an aristocracy, when this inheritance takes place, all within itself, these very castles, palaces, dynastic marriages, exclusively with each other, and everything else. And in general, Putin is an adherent of this model.
But for the simple son, Russia, raised on propaganda and the image of a well-fed and prosperous Russia, the near Putin's elite has offered a very different life. Half-destroyed houses, roadless areas, lack of basic benefits of civilization. This is how the majority of Russians live. And the fate of an ordinary Russian loyalist is unenviable and ordinary to serve the appetites of the Kremlin's top elite and die for its interest. 250,000 Russians have already died in the war against Ukraine, and they continue to die and join the ranks of the mobilized. While the children of those close to Putin with immunity from war and patronage skim off the cream and live their best life. Ksenia Barvinenko, Special Report.